壞嘅，冇用啊嘛，冇用，超冇用啊！你就算而家你加減咗1、2張，我都覺得唔中意咯。其實你成日同埋加埋啲 DST 嗰啲咧，你做開啲人嗰啲已經係好煩嘅，好難。有啲半個鐘嗰啲都唔知點搞。係啊，半個鐘嗰啲，跟住最抵死其實 DST 嗰啲，咁啊我嗰個就中意少嗰個 P。即係點算咧？我真係試過搞過。英國嗰個效率時間，係啦，咁嗰 student.
Yeah.
Simon is in my country, and my people, when it comes to and they said, whatever the people call it, we're going to call it New Zealand.
Okay. Shall we start? So, topic today, collaborative product development in free and open source projects. So, first of all, I introduce myself. I'm a graduate of the University of Warwick in the UK. I'm still doing a master course in program and project management right now. I'm the assistant product manager of Job City. So many of you have heard of this job site in Hong Kong and Asia Pacific. I'm also a founding member of the Hong Kong Legal Network, and I've been actively participating in some podcasting and some other social activities. And a few years ago, I actually contributed some Chinese localization projects on multi-MIMO platforms and Go platform as well. So that's essentially my background. So actually, we want to look at how we can make a good, great free and open source software product. So there are a few components. So we need to have a thorough research and analysis, and then we really need to have some product user experience, research and user testing, some quality coding, obviously. So that's most of us are developers, so we're very familiar with that. Intuitive UI design, so that means besides user experience research, you have to consolidate that into a very concrete visual design that everyone understands what it means. Comprehensive testing and quality assurance. Obviously, if your software product is just full of bugs, no one will use it. Easy to read documentation in case people want to refer to something that they want to know more about. We should provide them very easy to read documentation, up-to-date ones. And of course, great localization, effective marketing, and targeted promotion. So that means if you want to launch your software product in other countries, in other markets, you really need to cover very detailed localization, make sure that local people understand what your product is trying to mean or try to produce. And also you have very good marketing efforts to make sure that everyone knows about your product. And of course, for a successful product, you need to deliver some very precise vision. Sometimes it's kind of a spirit of belief that you want to convey to your customers. So overall, obviously, if you want to manage to release such a great product, you need a very good product to be released on time with good quality. So that's some of the main components of what makes a good product. In this case, actually, any product would apply these components, including free and open source software. So who are going to do all these great activities? So we have product manager, business analyst, UX researcher doing the UX research, interaction designer, system analyst, developers, art director or visual designer, quality assurance manager, testers, knowledge manager, technical writer, training manager, launch manager, product marketing manager, and top management support, human resources. So all of these are the very important stakeholders. If you want to make your product sell great, users are happy, people understand what you want to sell and engage with your product, you need to have help of all these expertise from all these different areas. Obviously, in the free and open source world, where there are actually a lot of developer-focused activities, but some areas are actually still quite blank, and some are still quite missing some of the important efforts from other expertise. So that's why making a very successful product is difficult and it's not easy to achieve because we need help from all these expertise. And also, to manage all these people well and deliver on time and good quality, you need to have a very good project manager, program manager, or even portfolio manager. So actually, these are the key roles that people, that the key people that we should have to produce a new great product. So all these are actually talking about these different aspects of the management. So looking into some more detail, so like product management. So what does the product manager do? So they actually have to analyze the market, they need to analyze what user really needs, what are the gaps, what are the market gaps, any key problems to resolve, any new blue ocean to create, or even just to work out what are the benefits and efforts. Sometimes some developers say, oh, okay, some features are very cool. It would be very cool to implement such a library or such a component. And then you spend 2 years just to improve that small bit. But what benefit does it bring to the end users? And whether it's worth to do it? Maybe you need to have a benefit effort matrix and see and prioritize what should be done first, what should be done next, and etc. So, and then you work out all the product initiatives, and then you can produce a kind of product roadmap that you prioritize all your projects, all your products, all your key tasks to do inside that. And also, we need to have a close monitoring of the launch products. In case, for example, you launch version 1.0, and then some users give you feedback, or the download rates are not good, or people are not engaged, people can't discover these features, and you have to try to work out what are the key problems and iterate the process again. So there are a few model or tools that product managers usually use, like micro quarters, 5 quarters, like to analyze the market and see whether what you're trying to do is competitive in your market. A SWOT analysis, SWOT means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. These are very basic aspects that you need to cover, whether your product will have these strengths, or whether what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities and threats to the market. And also some other external analysis like HKOSC that focus on the political, environmental, social, technological, legal, and environmental aspects. So these are some basic skills that product managers should acquire, and that's actually important if you want to have initiation of a successful product. And also important is a proper UX research that I just mentioned. So UX is quite a new topic, and it's just the term just appears just around a decade ago. So what these people would do is actually to research and analyze user behavior, and then through observation or with the aid of some tracking data. For example, if you're doing a website, you're doing a software product, you can add tracking code to particular buttons, particular links, and then you can see how many people actually click through those links or buttons, and then find out how they use the path, or even you can make use of some even specialized hardware, such as some eye tracking devices to try to see which part of your website is popular, and people look at this most of the time, and then share to discover this area, so we have to put things in this area, things like that. So there are many ways to fine-tune the user interface, and as a developer, we should respect the user researchers' opinions, and try to adopt their views as well. So these will also design the wireframes and interactive prototypes, and sometimes they will do user testing with real users with these prototypes. Sometimes you can create some interactive prototypes with just paper or just some very simple HTML static pages, and then you can ask real users, invite real users to test it, whether it works, whether people can find the features. So in some very serious research, like this is the research that I actually participated in Thailand a year ago. So we actually record the user's behavior through a video camera, and then we can actually observe how the user actually behaves, and when he clicks on the particular pages or links, whether he understands the context or not. We use a technique called think aloud. So that means you have to say loudly what you're trying to think. For example, you ask the user to say what I'm trying to think. So when I look at the website, I see this button here. So I wonder what this is, and so I try to click on it. And then I find that I don't understand something. So the user will actually say what his or her thinking very loudly, so that it's all captured in a video recording, so we can review the weaknesses of the design and fine-tune it accordingly. So there are other aspects like creative management. So if you're creating a website or you're creating a software, you have your brand identity or corporate identity or whatever. So you need to make sure that all these colors, style, font size, all these aspects should be consistent. So we actually need someone to look after all these visual stuff. So our director, visual designer will handle all these assets, and they should also manage their own digital asset repository. So that means you should always have the same set of buttons, the same set of icons for particular usage. And you have very strict definitions on color shades or color tones or whatever. So these are some examples I captured from Ubuntu. So they have their own design language, they define it, and they use it across all their products. So they also need to manage, especially the art director, they need to manage creative people, because usually creative people are they're too creative and they can't do good in time management, and they may spend lots of time to research on some very niche topic, but you have to control them and making sure that they understand the timeline and make sure that they can do it according to the timeline. So another aspect is if you want your product to be great and people can always refer to your product features, you need to manage your knowledge and document all the user guides or technical assets. So we need knowledge manager, technical writer, training manager, etc. To prepare documentation for requirements and even for technical aspects, and maintain all these repositories all the way along. So, and they should also conduct some. Let's skip a slide. That's slow. Okay. So knowledge managers also provide training to key stakeholders and work on the strategies for better knowledge sharing. So how can some key messages be delivered to the key stakeholders? They should work out and work with the team together. So obviously, developers would also be very important. They someone would take care of the developers. Usually, in Hong Kong context is most of the time system analysts, and then you have a group of developers, and then the system analysts usually do all these feasibility studies, negotiate with the product manager on particular features, convert the business requirements into technical requirements, and then develop the solutions in very neat and scalable ways. So that means if you want to add features in the future, you don't have to rewrite everything again. You can always add things on top, and also transfer the development skills to the individuals. So when new developers join in, you have to teach them, guide them through all the way along, which sometimes is explicit knowledge, which is coding guidelines, techniques, and things like that. Sometimes it's tacit knowledge, so like things that are not describable easily, like working style, communication skills, and things like that. Quality management. So to make sure that software product is working great, you need to be properly tested. Quality assurance manager testers should define the acceptance standard, testing scope, comprehensive test plans, and maintain a good testing environment, and even automatic test tools and things like that. So they should also monitor and evolve the issue reporting system, like Mozilla or whatever. They should look at it very closely and arrange necessary resources for testing, such as time. So you have allocate enough time for testing, manpower, and even some, if you're doing mobile stuff, you have to arrange different devices as well. Once they define an issue, they should provide advices on those issues to the developers how to resolve it in a high level way. So when your product is actually developed and is ready to launch, you actually need to have some launch arrangements with the marketing teams. So the product marketing manager, launch manager will take care of these tasks. Actually, depending on your software or service that you're providing, there will be different stakeholders. For example, if you're trying to do a software product for your company sales department, so the users will be salespeople. So you have made some product changes, feature changes that may impact their lives, and they may feel unhappy because if you make some changes that they're used to the old features already, and you make changes or you take away something from the old stuff, and they are not happy, then if you push it forward, then it will be chaotic. So just like how Microsoft tried to remove the start button in Windows 8, people stream. So actually, when they launch a product, they should actually do a very thorough stakeholder analysis. Put all stakeholders into a matrix, like whether they are likely to be opposing, supporting, or on the fence, and how the level of influence. So whether they are just people, just random people, just a minority of people who don't like the features, or only the features is only used by 2% of the use of the entire community, then perhaps the influence will be low. So we can actually work out which stakeholders are the most impacting your product launch, and deliver the right messaging to these key stakeholders very sensitively, so that they understand all these changes in advance, so before you actually launch the product. So sometimes if you are actually working for a larger scale project, you'll be involved in a larger organization. So leadership and organization culture would be very important, especially if you have developers across the globe and they work virtually in a virtual team environment. We actually need to get everyone buy into to your organizational culture and align them together with your vision or core values and try to cultivate your own unique organization culture so that it sits on top of everyone's national culture. I'll elaborate more on that. For example, Ubuntu, everyone knows founder of Ubuntu is Mark Shuttleworth, and his mission is to try to bring Ubuntu for as part of the social and part of economic with free software, etc. So there's a vision that everyone understands, digests it, and then try to cultivate a working culture that aligns with all these visions. And obviously, we need to have very good project management skills, especially when you involve so many expertise. Then the resource and timeline for all the deliverables, you have to manage it very carefully. So project manager, program manager, and portfolio manager will take care of this. And we'll also identify the risk of the project, such as time or resource or cost risk or dependency or things like that. So there are risks at project level, there are risks at program level, and there are risks at portfolio level. So program is multiple projects, portfolio is multiple programs. So if you have a very complicated software project, you may have program or portfolio level. Or otherwise, if you are just some smaller projects, at least you should identify all these risks at a project level. So that's hard because every successful product needs to have very good processes in all these different aspects of which require so many different expertise and skill sets. What makes free and open source projects more difficult than the other proprietary projects? Because free and open source projects usually involve global virtual teams. People work together in different locations in the world, across the world. There are cultural differences. There are uneven distribution of skill sets, especially in smaller projects where usually the projects were initiated by developers, not by the users, not by the other people. So they can be too developer focused and too technical focused. So that would not actually attract the mass easily. And obviously there's a gender bias. See? And sometimes there's a female unfriendly environment.
Can you give some example of female?
Yeah, I will. Now it's like, and there are also some knowledge sharing challenges, like lack of informal socialization, like people don't gather around because they are in different places in the world. They don't go together to drink a beer, and they don't know each other very well. Then that would actually affect the team culture, lack of trust and respect between each other. And sometimes people absorb knowledge easier than the others. Some are dumber, some are smarter. So there are different levels of absorptive capacity and knowledge customization. Like I understand some knowledge, but in order for you to understand, I may need to customize that knowledge in your language so that you can understand. So sometimes you say, even you use the same terminology, you don't actually mean the same thing. And there are different cultural dimensions. People working in the social science background may know concepts, cultural dimensions. So Hong Kong people, Asian cultures are usually more have a high power distance. That means boss say yes, then I should agree. I have to agree. I'm wholeheartedly agree. So some cultures will have a long-term orientation, like Hong Kong, Singapore. They will invest a lot in the properties for long-term benefit, whereas in USA, Australia, Western cultures, they will have a relatively short-term orientation and so on. So there are very large differences between Eastern and Western cultures. But even within the Asian cultures, some markets like Thailand will have a very feminine behavior, and they're more caring to other people, sensitive to other people's feelings, and they're relatively short-term. So there are still subtle differences in terms of culture. So how can we overcome all these challenges? We can actually, that's what I said, that we can have an organizational culture that built on top of the national culture, so that people working from all around the world can actually have the same vision, and have the same merits and spirit, beliefs with what they are doing, what they are trying to do, and so that they are compatible with all the different cultures. So developer focus geeky cultures. So people talk about jargons all the time. I mean, in between developers they are okay, but sometimes when developers try to communicate things to real users, to other people in the team, like the visual designer, to the testers or whoever, people in product managers, they also use jargons, so people don't understand math language. And so please be open-minded, listen to what real users say. Welcome non-developers and newcomers to contribute. Be prepared to accept silly questions and answer them. Yeah. So I've seen so many cases in mailing lists, like people ask silly questions, and then some more senior people is just, oh, okay, actually this was asked like 3 years ago. You should have looked at the answer 3 years ago and not repeating the questions again. So that's not quite a welcoming behavior. Gender bias. So you can see, like in proprietary software projects, around 28% of developers are female, but in open source projects, just 2%. So what happened?
Wait, is it 2% and 99?
Yeah, I think it's a rounding thing. Yeah. I just got captured from this woman in free and open source software development slide. So actually, what really happened, I'm not sure. Better you tell me. So are the free and open source software ideas too philosophical, or is it too hard to understand? Is there a gender stereotype? Like most male developers would think there's a perception that, okay, you are a girl, then you must not be knowledgeable on technical stuff, or you are actually equal somebody, you're actually end user. So there's a kind of a stereotype here. Sometimes even when women try to contribute to the project, their contributions are not being recognized. For example, if they create very wonderful visual designs, maybe the male developers actually they don't even care about visual stuff sometimes, right? So okay, yeah, so what? It looks good. That is not important to me. But in order for a product to be successful, it should be all-rounded. So every aspect has its own value. So better respect and recognize their contributions, so that they're not feeling excluded. So please rethink your attitude sometimes. Yeah. So and also for knowledge sharing. So actually, because virtual teams are separate all around the places, they are difficult to acquire tacit knowledge. So tacit knowledge are things that you can't really written in a document or in an email. You have to observe someone's behavior in longer term in order to acquire. So for virtual teams, you may have a very huge obstacle to acquire and share these types of knowledge, and hence the knowledge conversion processes will be hindered as well, because it's difficult for people to gather around for visualization, and you can't convert text knowledge to explicit knowledge. So that's a challenge here. So basically, that's my sharing. Obviously, I do not work really deeply in the free and open source communities or even projects, but as a product manager in my daily role, I just try to share what I think it should also be applicable to free and open source projects. So, any time left for questions? There are a lot of theories and things to digest. I will share the slide to SlideShare, and people can just refer to it if you are interested in the topic. So, any questions or ideas you want to share? Yeah.
And could you share more about the project about the methodology or the software or the workflow?
Yes, because of the limited time, I just can't include so many stuff in that area. But if you're interested, we can chat a bit more later. Yeah. So there are different models, agile or waterfall or whatever. So there are different agile models as well. Maybe Stephen has more experience on that. Yeah. So yeah, we can chat later in the break time. In the what do you call that session after the 11 session. Any other questions? If not, then you can follow me on this. Okay. Thank you very much.
一望哇，佢嘅都係。